So today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going over the quiz you guys had in Algebra 1 and just kind of going over some of the questions. So here are all of the questions that you had on the quiz, and I'm going to be going over each one of them for you. So let's begin. So for number 1, I know this is not in pen, but let's just follow along as much as you can. So Nancy bought 2 soft drinks for $3 each and 9 candy bars. She spent a total of $42. How much did each candy bar cost? So we know that if there is 2 soft drinks, so she bought 2 soft drinks, and each one was $3, right? Then we can say that 2 times 3 would give us 6. So for overall, she spent $6 on those drinks. So when we go to the next part, we know that we have this, we're buying 9 candy bars. But the problem is we don't know the cost of that. So the way we're actually going to solve this is sorry about that, everyone. What we're going to do is we're going to say, well, we know that we spent $6 total. And then if we add that together to the 9 candy bars, but the thing that's different is what we're going to put here is we're actually going to put an X. So then what this becomes is 9X equals $42. Now, do you know where I'm getting the $42 from? That's actually coming from this. She spent a total of $42. So in the end, this is what our equation should look like. So now we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. So we get 9x on one side equals, what's 42 minus 6? That's going to give us 36. Now, what's the last step if you don't know? I'm going to give you a second to think about it, and it should be dividing it by 9 on both sides. So what happens is those two 9s cancel each other off. So this gets gone, and this cross off with each other. So all we're left with down here is x. So x equals, and then we do 36 divided by 9, which should have been 4. And then what I was looking for was for you to put it in, say, in a word, in a sentence, that Nancy saw that each candy bar cost $4. So that's how you should have done question 1 on that example. Question 2, almost the same thing, but I know there's some people here. Sorry about this. Got it a little more comfortable. There's a few of you here that are still struggling with this one. So Tim bought 4 new baseball cards. So let's kind of step by step this. And he added that to his collection. So he had 4 new cards to his baseball collection. Now, is that saying that he had? Sorry. What we're saying is he had 4 new cards. But did he already have a collection? Yes, he already had some X collection. So his collection before was X. We don't know what that is. But then the next day, his dog ate half of his collection. So now there's only 42 cards left, right? So that means he had X plus 4 gave him some number. And then after that, half of that blank was, so we'll do 1 divided by 2, because half of that equals 42, right? So how many cards? So we're trying to figure out what this X is, but we have to figure out this blank. So how could I get rid of this blank before, right? Well, that's the challenging part that I was hoping some of you might have noticed. That if we put parentheses around this and we look at this one step at a time, if we multiply both sides by 2, what happens? Well, 2 times 1/2 becomes 1. So all we're left with is this blank. And that blank is going to be 2 times 42, which is 84. So now we can kind of go back up and say that x plus 4 equals 84. So what we do next is we just solve for our x as we normally would. So we would subtract 4 on both sides. Oops. And now we're left with x equals 80. And again, I want you to come over here and write the final answer saying that Tim started with a collection of 80, oops, I'll move my thing in a second, 80 cards. Now, this was a little bit more challenging, and this was something that should have been pretty easy. We talked about a couple of different properties in the beginning of class. So we had the identity property. Now, do you remember we had, I'll do the example. So the identity property would have been A plus 0 equals A. I also would have taken A times 1 equals A. Remember, the identity property is just saying I'm going to do something to my equation and get exactly what I had back. The next property we talked about was the multiplicative. Oh, I'm sorry. We talked about the commutative property. Commutative property was saying that if I had A plus B plus C, oh my goodness, I'm sorry everyone, A plus B plus C, or A plus B equals B plus A. Now that also applies with multiplication where it's A times B equals B times A. Oops, wrong button. Another one we had was the associative property. And that's the one with parentheses. So A plus B, parentheses plus C, also equals A plus B plus C. And multiplication looks like A, oops, forgot my parentheses. So it should be AB times C equals A times BC. Too many parentheses. And another one, this is always my favorite one, the zero property. And that's only with multiplication. There is no, oops, which is the A times 0 equals 0. Okay? Now, these two I do quickly because as you saw my little note, I'm running out of time. We are going to do, all this was we had to do our little